today we've got Matt Mason from Ocean Revival on. Bit of a different situation to when we met up in, I think it was December, wasn't it, Matt? When you were down in Plymouth, training.
The world is in chaos, isn't it?
I know. But as all bootnecks, Marines, we adapt, overcome. So do you want to just briefly introduce yourself, Matt, and tell us who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Matt Mason. I'm part of the Ocean Revival 2020 team. That's a team of Royal Marines serving and former that are going to be attempting to row from New York to London in what it was meant to be in 10, 15 days. But that's clearly not happening anymore, is it?
So you're still serving, Matt, I'm right in saying?
Yeah, I'm still serving. Camp's around about 2 minutes down the road. I'm currently at Commando Logistics Regiment. Took a draft up here as a PW2. Due to move out in the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to a new career, still in the Marines, but a slightly different career path away from Devon. But
so when you say PW2, I mean, obviously I know that, platoon weapons and so forth. What's your job involved in the Corps right now?
Platoon weapons instructor at Commando Logistics Regiment in the training office. So I just ensure that everybody on camp is sort of in date and up to date with the weapon systems that we've got and that we use, so that if we've got it in play, they know what they're doing and they can use it safely, which is important, obviously, very important.
So tell me about, you've already mentioned Ocean Revival. How did that come about?
So Ocean Revival came about, a group of 4 of us met in a pub in Bury. We decided we wanted to row an ocean. Before this, we all contacted each other anyway, and sort of decided we needed to meet up and decide what we're actually going to do and how we're going to go about it. So we met up in the pub. We decided that we wanted to row an ocean. We wanted to row an ocean as a team. And then it's all about working out what ocean you want to row, because there's obviously quite a few. What route on that ocean, and how to create a strategy to get sponsors, get people involved, what charities to raise money for, what charities we're passionate about, and we took it from there really. And Ocean Revival was born from that meeting. We decided to row across the North Atlantic. We come up with the 2 major cities, New York to London. It's never been done before, unsupported, non-stop. So we wanted to give that a go. And obviously, as a strategy for marketing and for attracting supporters, the idea of rowing from one major city to another across an ocean is quite appealing. Because quite a lot of businesses actually have got HQs in London and in New York, so it was quite a good move and I think quite a successful move to go down that avenue. And here we are now.
Because I was going to mention that, Matt, about all the moving parts in doing something like this, because there's so many different things that go on in the background for your planning. That
Yeah, anybody that's done any sort of expedition planning will tell you. Anybody, whether they're ocean rowers, polar explorers, Everest, mountaineers, the hardest part is getting to the start line. Once you get to that start line and you're off, it's like the challenge is the easy bit, it's the exciting bit. That's what you're there for. Getting to that start point is it's a logistical nightmare. It's a financial nightmare, and trying to get that support and create a plan is without a doubt the most stressful and difficult part of the whole sort of procedure. Yeah.
So along the way, sort of, obviously you've got lots of sponsors coming in. Satcase coming at one point, and what did you think of Satcase when you first heard about it? Because it's quite I'd say it's a game-changing device, I guess.
Yeah, well, Baz Gray got in touch, and we had a chat on the phone. Obviously, I knew Baz as a regimental sergeant major from when his time in the Royal Marines, so he's a hugely respected bloke, and he was an ML, which Marine Leader for people that don't know, which is a hugely it's an esteemed position within the Corps, because it's a tough course, it's an arduous course, and you're sort of at the top of your game if you're an ML. So straight away commands their respect in that respect, and the fact he's ringing up saying this is a great bit of kit, great bit of comms kit. Get on it, we want to support you, was amazing. And if he's sort of behind it, it's the business.
And he used that in Challenge Antarctica, didn't he? So it all been tried and tested.
Oh yeah, when he started spinning with the dits about the clarity of the communication and how simple it was and to use, and just how clear and precise it was. It's a no-brainer, especially South Pole is very much like, not obviously not like it, but it's the isolation aspect of being in the middle of absolutely nowhere is the same as
Yeah.
being in the middle of an ocean. So if it's working down there, it's going to work mid-Atlantic.
So tell me, you've just mentioned about, your plans having to change because you were so close to doing this crossing. So how have you had to adapt to that right
We were
now?
meant to, yeah, we were meant to fly out in 5 days, I think, around about 5 days from Manchester. The boat was meant to get shipped at the beginning of April, but obviously COVID-19 kicked off, and it's all been. It's why we postponed it, and the reason for that is we couldn't get the boat into the States for obvious reasons. Again, they
Yeah.
weren't letting anything in or out. Flights dodgy, and it's a case of, do we send everything over to then not be able to set off? Because again, we don't know how long this is going to last for.
Yeah.
Or do we just postpone, get some more training in, and sort of replan, if you like, and work work on different sort of options, which is sort of where we are at the minute. We're looking at New York to London again in May, but we've all got jobs, we're all working blocks.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't quite work out, we're looking potentially at Gibraltar to Miami in December, which is 1,000 miles extra.
Really?
Yeah, so you're looking at another 15 days on top, which again, there's more logistics to it, because you're going to get the boat down to Gibraltar, you've got to get extra food, it's more time off work, different marinas, different immigration policies, so it's just more planning.
Yeah. But so what about your I know obviously you're still serving, so your fizz level will be up there anyway, but is there anything else you're doing at the minute that you wouldn't normally do?
I mean, it is really tough, because you can't just go to the gym and work on strength, so everything's body weight. Luckily, you can get out and do some good long distance running. I know a few guys on the team have got rowing machines, which is great because they can just sit in the front room rowing all day. I don't have that luxury. I've got 2 kids instead. So I just find myself escaping, going for runs between 4 to 10 miles, really. Nothing crazy, but just keeping it topped up. You can't.
I guess once that time comes when you can go, you know when to build up to that point again. I guess you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of ocean rowing isn't actually being super fit. You don't have to be super fit to row an ocean. It is, again, any ocean rower will tell you, it's 90% mental, 10% fitness. I think just turning up relatively fit, but with no injuries, is really important, and being in a good mental state of mind is more important than fitness, because how do you train for rowing across an ocean? 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 70 days. Just sit on the rowing machine for an hour. Doesn't cut it.
When you've got 4 people in the boat, I mean, I guess there's guys out there who think, oh yeah, you can do for somewhere 8 hours or so, but you're talking 2 about. That's quite a difficult thing as it is.
Yeah, your body gets used to it though. So you start off, and the first 6 to 7 days are really difficult because you're battling seasickness, sleep deprivation. Your body's not used to the routine. But one day you wake up and you're just in the zone. Your body kicks in. It's an amazing thing. I think for me last time it was around about day 7 or 8. So I kicked in, the seasickness stopped, and I felt alive again, if that makes sense. And I could just cope with the routine then, and your body just gets fitter and stronger as your muscles develop.
Right.
With obviously rowing. So sitting on a rowing machine isn't the same as rowing on a river. And again, rowing on a river is absolutely nothing like rowing on an ocean, because you're rowing with the ocean, you're rowing with the waves. It's very disjointed. It's not long, beautiful strokes. It's battling, battling the different waves that come in, the different angles that the waves come in, the wind. So it's more about seamanship and learning to row with the ocean, as opposed to sitting on a machine smashing out the miles.
How about that being confined? If there's sort of 4 of you in that small confined space for that amount of time, how do you think you deal with that?
So we'll be running two shift patterns. So obviously we'll have 2 teams. 2 will be rowing, 2 will be resting. That will be continuous for the 70 days, because once you get into that You got your partner. You know how the guy rolls in front of you, how he rolls behind you. You know when he's going to take a leak. You know when he wants to eat, and that you sort of get that team spirit as a pair.
Yeah.
So you very rarely you only really see the other team members when you're crossing over.
Yeah.
I mean, our plan was to is to we're going to have an album a day. So for an hour to an hour and a half a day, probably at midday, get the tunes on, or at sunset, get the tunes on, doors open if the weather's permitting, and we'll have a chat and we'll have our scram together. And that's when we'll be sort of really bonding on the boat, if that makes sense. But other than that, it will literally be once your 2 hours is up, you're swapping, you're doing your admin in the cabin with the doors closed, because obviously if you capsize or if waves come in, you don't want kit and electrics to get wet.
Yeah.
So that's the only time you're going to see people when you're crossing over. So in terms of actually getting on that, it's going to be fine. I mean, it should be fine, because for an hour and 55 minutes a day, a time, you're going to be on your own in the cabin or out rowing. The scenery.
It seems a bit bizarre that you're so confined to that small space, but it's almost like there's two different sort of teams.
And as soon as you get into the routine, because routine is everything. As soon as you get into that routine, that becomes life. And obviously, being serving a former Marines, we're sort of used to that routine of being on ops where it's not, you don't have Wi-Fi, you can't just go and run around the block, you can't just do what you want, because obviously there's restrictions. So we're quite used to that anyway. Well, we have been used to that anyway. So as soon as it clicks into place and it becomes life, then you just get on with it. And then the focus is the endpoint.
I think there's a lot of people having to learn to adapt at the minute anyway with everything that's going on. And it's like me doing something like this. I don't normally do this. My job is filming, photography, editing. I'm not, in front of the camera kind of guy, but people have had to adapt. And I suppose that's the word at the minute for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's nice as well for, I think people are learning quite a lot about themselves, actually.
Yeah.
Being confined to a house for, it's going to be like 6 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not being able to do what you normally do. It's a good time. I think a lot of people are able to reflect on what they're doing and how they're actually doing their lives, and especially when you look at what's happening in the environment.
Yeah.
When you look at all this scientific evidence coming in now that, air is substantially cleaner.
Well, I was going to mention that, because obviously part of your plastic-free oceans is part of your message. And I guess you can say at the minute it's a good chance to study these things, I guess. But ironically, I saw an article the other day where the guy was standing on the beach and he just had loads of face masks in his hands because they're all ended up in the Ogden, in the oceans, and it just seems. But I guess there is that chance of, change at the minute, I guess.
I think our the climate problem and just the environmental problem as a whole. Is so complex and so interconnected that if air quality is improving, less pollution going into our rivers, less pollution going into our oceans at the minute because everyone's on lockdown, but then consumption's gone up in single-use plastics in terms of face masks, which is absolutely fair enough. It needs to happen, but there always seems to be if one direction seems to be going positively, another direction is negative. And I think that's just human society as a whole, isn't it? We need to sort of look at what we're doing as a whole and how everything's so interconnected, and sort of start really analysing changes that need to happen and start making them change. Making them.
What about you at home then? How old are your little ones?
Oh, I've got a 9-month. Oh, no, a 1-year-old now. He's turned 1. What am I talking about? He's 1 and 2.5.
Yeah, so really they're not going to know much different apart from mum and dad are around a bit more. Maybe.
That's it, and for me especially because I've not been around as much. So it's amazing for me just to spend a lot of time, 6 weeks, with my kids, which don't usually get to do. So I mean, that's been amazing.
Silver lining, I guess, Matt, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a silver lining for everything, isn't there?
Definitely. So, if you've got a bit of advice for anybody on, obviously under these circumstances, what it's like when you go on deployment, you're with a group of guys for a prolonged period of time. I mean, I suppose you've got to adapt. What advice could you give to anybody?
it's really difficult because everybody's different. I think having a good routine is important.
Yeah.
I think staying positive.
Yeah.
You know, you got to remain positive, and you think you're all done by in your lovely house with running water, food on the table.
Yeah.
There's people worse off. You know,
Yeah.
just imagine being in, you know, a third world country now with the prospect of COVID-19 looming.
Look, all those
no
jobs.
running water, no sanitation.
Yeah.
You know, it's no healthcare. You know, it could always be worse, couldn't it?
Yeah. But no, I found a lot of jobs around the house I didn't know I had to do. That's suddenly.
Was that the missus? Was it?
Oh yeah,
The missus leaving lists.
suddenly getting done, you know. But no, it's fine. It's fine. Well, unless you want to add anything more, Matt, anything you can think of that you'd like to get off your chest, maybe. But
No, good. All good. Just raring to go, raring to get out the blocks and start doing some training for a summer that we weren't expecting to be able to train. So
yeah,
that's what we're going to do. I think that's what we're looking forward to, is getting out, getting the boat on the water, getting some really good training weeks in. You know, some substantial time on the boat.
well, no, I mean, obviously, I've seen the boat up close, and it's a pretty awesome bit of kit. You know, I was really impressed.
Yeah, it is good. It is a cool boat, but I think the most important thing for us is to learn about it.
Yeah,
having a boat there is all well and good, having some amazing bits of kit on board, but actually learning how to use it, how to.
But that was what I was, I was impressed by. You know, when you think of this, well, boat, oars, rowing, but there's all these other things that go into it. That, you know, I mean, straight away, drinking water for one thing. You know,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's so much more complex, and there's so many more moving parts to this than people think. It's not as simple as just jumping in a boat and rowing, is it? But that's life, isn't it? That's like everything. You know, there's always, it's like an iceberg, isn't it? With a lot of things, you've got the tip, and then it's everything underneath that makes it float. So
we wouldn't do these things if we didn't enjoy it, I guess. And the positive outcomes. And like you said, you'd be raising money for the Marines charity as well. So it's a win-win, really.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt. Well, brilliant. Nice to chat to you, and hopefully we'll catch up again in the not too distant future.
Yeah. Cheers, Matt. Have a good one.
All right.